Okay, so it is a beautiful morning here in the southwest of England, but we have a long way to walk. In fact, we have 28 miles to walk today because we are walking the Liberty Trail. So I'm up here on Ham Hill, one of the largest Iron Age hill forts in the whole of Europe, and we're going to be working our way through the various counties to get to Lyme Regis, 28 miles away. So it's really exciting, this route actually. It's not very well known, and yes, most people do walk this in 2 or 3 days, and I'm just gonna yomp it out in one. But it basically follows the path taken by the rebels during the uprising in the early 1600s to do with the kingship, who was going to be the king, whether a Protestant king or a Catholic king. So basically this is called the Monmouth Rebellion, and this is the route taken by 6 rebels, and we're going to see what we can find out about them along the way today. So Ham Hill then, I absolutely love Ham Hill. It is a scheduled ancient monument, a site of special scientific interest. It's a local nature reserve and it's a country park. This place is treasured by everyone far and wide as being a wonderful place just to come and walk your dogs, hang out with friends, do a bit of mountain biking. It's not huge, but it's got a wonderful array of paths to explore. It's got forest, it's got open top pastoral land, it's got a Millennium Stone Circle, a massive war memorial that everyone knows about on the prominent point that you can see from miles around. And actually from that point you can often see, particularly a day like today, over to Glastonbury Tor, over the Mendip Hills, Quantock Hills. It's pretty incredible here. Really well looked after by the rangers, and if you're in the area, definitely come and check it out. But today we're just gonna pretty much pass on through. So if you'd like to find out more about this incredible archaeological site, you know, it's been quarried since the Roman times. What Iron Age finds have they found? Yes, that does include human remains. Then you can check that out in the description. I'll put the link for a video I've made in the past. Definitely worth taking a look at that one. It is incredible, this place. As you can see, it gets me quite excited. Love it.
I was walking along the southwestern edge of the hill fort, with its ramparts still clearly visible in the golden morning sunlight.
This is definitely a talking point. So on our route today, we cross over or interlink, I think, with 4, maybe even 5 other long distance trails. And we got 2 here, both going down there. So we've got the River Parrot Trail, which, believe it or not, follows the River Parrot. And then up here we've got the sticker, which shows the Monarch's Way. And just up here we've got a sign here, just sort of reminding us what the Monarch Way is actually about. 615 miles, people. That's the bit I want to draw your attention to. It is a flipping long trail. That's nearly as long as the southwest coastal path, which obviously goes all the way along the south coast or southwest coast. So it's pretty incredible. It just runs through here, and most people will never have a true understanding of just how long that trail is, following the escape of Charles II. But maybe we'll walk that one day. Big old chunk of time will be needed, but maybe we will walk that one day.
It wasn't long before I emerged out of the woodland and overlooked the Whitcomb Valley, home to a deserted medieval village, which supposedly had its population wiped out in 1665 by the plague. Nothing remains of the village these days, except for some strip lynchets on the side of the hill, the remains of old field workings.
I really love this valley, actually. Often there's foxes trotting about, or there's green woodpeckers cackling as they fly away. It's amazing how nature has reclaimed this space. Just heading up past Tinker's Bubble here, which is a sustainable community who live in the woodlands. They've been there since 1994, and I just love what they do and what they stand for. They're so friendly. They sell their local produce at different markets, and just up there they've got a steam engine that they use to power cutting tools in order to, you know, manage wood and sort of fuel the farm, so to speak.
The trail took me into Norton sub Hamden, past the Little Norton Mill. Now just a set of holiday cottages, but it's actually an 18th century building, still in working order. displaying a water wheel and mill pond, and with plenty of intact machinery. It continued to be used up until 1919. Leaving the village behind, the route left the road and began a steep climb up to the top of Pease Hill.
You'll see as we pass through a lot of the villages and towns on this trail that many of them have their history caught up in the cloth making industry. It was definitely at its height in the 17th century, and this very trail not only was used for the Monmouth Rebellion, but it connected Somerset's heartland villages where this cloth was produced and spun to the ports where it could then be shipped off all around Europe. Here we go, West Chinook, and then there we go, there's our stile just up there. It's not the most straightforward of routes, if I'm honest. I mean, the Ridgeway, the South Downs Way, all of these trails just pretty much go in a straight line, whereas this is like exceptionally wiggly. It's like a little bit on a track, a little bit on a field, a little bit up a hill. The signage is definitely not something to be relied on this trail, so I've got my OS maps to, well, keep referencing. I've got it just tucked in my back there, so I've been looking at that a lot so far. And otherwise though, it's okay. The stars have so far been well kept, which is very uplifting. And it looks like we're about to make some friends. I don't want to make you jump, but I'm coming through. Oh wow. Poop Hill Bridge. I think we should go that way. I have a strange feeling I'm being followed.
Leaving my friends behind, I passed by the Blessed Virgin Mary Church, which dates to the 13th century, though it was totally rebuilt in the 19th century. It was in West Chinook that a man called Nicholas Templeman, who worked as a sackcloth weaver, set off to join Monmouth and 4,000 other men on their cause to overthrow James II, who was a Catholic and had claimed the throne after the death of his elder brother, Charles II. Monmouth, however, was a Protestant, and the eldest illegitimate son of Charles II. He claimed to be the rightful heir to the throne, and thus began the uprising.
So it's early spring whilst I'm walking this, and it's so peaceful out today. It's a Monday, and it's just really, really nice. Obviously the sun is shining, but the blossom is also blooming, and the birds are just continually singing, and you can see the fields are slowly growing with the crops that have been planted. There's just such a sense of life at the moment. It's quite exhilarating. It's hard not to get wrapped up in it. Just heading on through Rushy Wood Farm. It's a pretty big place, that's for sure.
The farm is a family-run dairy farm dating back to 1932, when the Baker family bought a single cow, though they were soon making cheddar cheese on a commercial scale. Now they have over 1,750 cows living on 1,700 acres of land.
Whoa, check this out. Tiny little eggshell. Like bright blue as well. Wow.
Next up, I found myself walking the streets of Hazelbury Plucknett.
Hazelbury Plucknett was sort of famous, or its heyday was in the 1100s when a chap called Wayford lived here. He was basically known as a saint or as a miracle worker, and people would sort of take up a pilgrimage to come here and get healed by him and his powers. So he's based here in Somerset and also in Wiltshire, but then he also stationed himself in this very village in a little cell just outside of the church. So we'll go and take a look at that in a minute.
The Church of St Mary's and All Angels dates back to the 14th century, though there's no trace of the church where St Wayford was buried back in 1154.
Now Somerset, of course, is famous for its cider. We've already passed by a number of orchards, and here's another little one here. But they seem to just be dotted about, and then throughout the seasons these trees go through their life cycle. And obviously then in the autumn period you got, these are either hand picked actually, or you get machines that go down the middle and they like grab the trunk of the tree and shake it, and the apples drop off and then they're sucked up into a truck. It's a really cool process. And then nearby here, or sort of near Ilminster Way actually, is Perry's cider, and I love to go there, not because of the cider, I don't drink actually, but I just love watching the process in the autumn. They bring in the apples and then they put them in the chute, and then they get crushed and you can see the juice coming out, and then it's put in barrels underneath the ground to be left to mature and then processed into whatever drink they're going to make from it. And it's just so cool having an insight into that process, especially on a local level, being able to see the apples from tree right through to bottle. Just love it. Okay, so this track here signals the point where I need to change OS maps. I've officially run out. We're near North Perrott and I now need to get the coastal map out. So the River Parrot Trail, which we've also been following, heads off that way, and we're going to go through this very cool looking style gatey thing. Hopefully we can fit and be following the Liberty Trail. Yep. So much nicer not having a massive backpack.
From the ridge, I was able to see across to Crewe Cairn, though the trail doesn't quite go into the village. It grew up around the late medieval period, around the textile industries, and the 15th century church of St Bartholomew's displays a magnificent western front, reflecting the town's prosperous cloth-making past. Interestingly, it was here that the sails were made for Nelson's flagship.
Look at this.
I crossed over the River Parrot, then ducked underneath the main Exeter to London Waterloo railway line. On the other side of the tunnel, I found myself walking around the outskirts of Misterton, past some healthy-looking allotments, where I just so happened to make some friends.
Hey you, how you doing? You're a bit cute. Nice teeth, say cheese. Say cheese. Aw, have a nice day. I like your white nose. It's very pretty. Yes, it is very pretty. Yes, it is. So here we are in Misterton. I think this is sort of the 8-mile point, so we've only got 20 miles to go. We're not really going into the village as such, we're just skirting round. We're going to work our way on towards the church and then back out into the countryside. It's a very noisy road, this one.
St Leonard's Church was built using hamstone from Ham Hill in 1840 and has been designated by English Heritage as a Grade 2 listed building.
Oh, there's a zebra. Oh no, there's a horse in a zebra's coat. What? I genuinely thought you were a zebra, horsey. Whew, it is hot. Not sure I've got enough water today. Might need to find a pub and top up. So here we are then, this is our little lane. So back down there, heads on to Misterton. We're going to go up here to Shave Cross, but if you were going to carry on, you'd go down to Seaborough, which is a beautiful little hamlet. Its name actually means Southern Hills, because it's nestled in the valley. You've got all these hills around, beautiful pastoral land. Hey sheep!
It was such a lovely time of year to be out walking the trail, with wildflowers lining the banks and lambs filling the fields and barns. Look how cute they are!
So here we go, this is Shave Cross. So we got 1, 2, 3, and obviously the 4th road there. We've got the signs showing Seaborough, Misterton, Crewe Cairn and Hewish. So we're going to go in the direction of Hewish. this way, and then we're going to cut off to the left towards Clapton. Clapton Farm, 1 mile. Good stuff. Now, this might not be a dramatic coastal landscape or a vast mountainous scene, but what it is gentle. It's blissful, it's relaxing. This is classic Somerset. You've got the rolling hills and the copses of trees in between. You've got the birds singing and the cows and the sheep just doing their thing. Life here seems to take on a much slower pace. It's calm and you've got to kind of relax into it. Remind yourself that there's nothing to rush for. We're on Somerset time now.
I headed down through the fields into Clapton Farm, past some old machinery and very unexpected animals.
Hanging out in the sunshine. Underneath the railway again. Bigger tunnel this time. Woo!
The road took me past the Southwest Deer Rescue Centre and then on into Wayford, past the Church of St Michael, dating to the 13th century. I just had to pop in for a quick look around.
I love it when people do this. They've reused this old phone box as a little library. So probably just a book swap place. Look at this. It smells good.
The hamlet is also home to the Elizabethan Wayford Manor House, famous for its gardens, which includes a Japanese garden and a collection of mature trees, rock gardens, orchards and more. It's all privately owned though, so it's only open for a few days each year.
In 1685, it was made illegal for people to hold religious meetings outside of their parish church. However, those who didn't agree with what was being preached at the churches or even that law had to therefore hold their meetings in secret. They didn't just stop, they continued to hold those meetings but in secret places. One such place was here. So this is the outskirts of Wayford Woods. It's a private estate which is open to the public at the consensus or the permission of the people that own it, and it's a really lovely place. So it was or it is full of both native and non-native trees, so there's a real mixture here. You can see this bamboo, but I said at one point during the 1600s, certainly the latest 1600s, up to 200 people were said to meet here for their religious meetings and to discuss political matters. Can't really imagine that, because usually when I'm here it's nice and quiet and you're just wandering around soaking up the atmosphere. Private, private, private. I think we get the idea. Footpath only. I know that the sun most certainly adds to the feel-good vibe today, but it really is truly wonderful walking. And I'm most especially loving the wildflowers and taking the time to look at their colourful displays. We've got celandines, we've got the bluebell popping up, we've got the blossom, we've got dandelions and daffodils, we've got violets, and we've got forget-me-nots. Don't forget the forget-me-nots. There's all sorts just popping out. We've had a little bit of sunshine for a couple of days and the ground is alive with beautiful colours. It's really inspiring me and I'm just loving every single step that I take.
Before long, I found myself entering into another village. This time, it was Winsham. With its roots in the Saxon period, the village has an interesting history. For me though, I was most curious to check out the Church of St Stephen, dating back to the 13th century. It seemed my rebellion walk was turning into more of a church tour, but I enjoyed exploring their peaceful gardens and yards and taking in their decorative interiors. I found the Fox's Book of Martyrs in the church, first published in 1563, and noted that the building is renowned for having only one of two surviving pre-Reformation roof screens of the crucifixion anywhere in the world. Who knew that was there? I needed some more water for the next leg of my walk, so headed into the village store, which is said to have been running since at least 1850.
there goes that then. Oh. Here we go, some nice, fresh, cold water. Oh, that's just what I needed. That was good food, people. That was good to stop. I needed that, and I'm feeling well fueled again now. So just pressing on. I'm not actually on the Liberty Trail. It's down there somewhere. I realised it went past the church, and because I came back up to the park to stop to eat, I forgot to go back. So I'm just walking parallel with the path on this road, and we'll rejoin it in a minute. Free range eggs. So there's two rather interesting things about to happen on the trail. The first is we're going to bump into the Jubilee Trail, an 88-mile long-distance route that was created to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of the Ramblers Association. It goes from border to border across Dorset. The second rather interesting thing is we're going to take a peek at Ford Abbey. So Ford Abbey was built in the 11th century, it's an old monastery, and nowadays it's open to the public and it's known for its fantastic floral displays in the gardens and the grounds around the home. So we're going to have to take a peek in there as well. Can't pass on by without checking that one out.
The Abbey has a rich and varied history spanning 900 years and played host to Cistercian monks, 19th century philosophers and politicians, and became entangled in the Monmouth Rebellion after Edmund Prideaux purchased the building in 1649 and transformed it into a private house. He was a member of the Parliament for Lyme Regis, but it was his son, also called Edmund, who entertained the Duke of Monmouth for one night in 1680, a move that would later lead to his imprisonment in the Tower of London. It seemed every household in the area, no matter its size, had some tie to the rebellion. At least today, the place is a tranquil one, and the gardens are absolutely heavenly.
Here's the beautiful River Axe. It basically borders in Ford Abbey from this side. And over the years I've spotted quite a few different fish in and about the waters. Keep our eye open for kingfishers as well. Hey horsey, you're a nice colour. Oh hey, how are you doing? Hello, you're very big. Hello. Oh, I like making friends. Hi. Crossing over the River Axe, sparkling in the daylight and overlooked by many, many cows. Whoa, what the actual flip? I had no idea this was here. There's some massive quarry. What? Just momentarily astonished.
This was Chard Junction Quarry, a sand and gravel quarry owned by the aggregate industries.
I guess those are the trees they chopped down to get to the quarry. Okay, Ford Abbey Farm. Yep, that's where we're headed to now. Crossing over the wee little lane. Never really a big fan of fields like this that just go on and on and on, and you have to figure out which corner to get out of. But I think I know my direction, so that's all positive. And hopefully then we'll hit a road called Horseshoe Road, and that'll take us down into Thorncombe. And I'll be pleased to get to Thorncombe, because then I think we have about 9-10 miles to go. Here we go, Horseshoe Road. Yes, Thorncombe, here we come.
I followed the road down into the harmonious village, ready to continue my church tour by visiting the St Mary's Church. There is evidence to suggest that the building of the first church on the site was overseen by the monks of Ford Abbey, though the present church was built in 1866 to seat 400 people. many of whom would have worked in the wool and lace making industries, both of which thrived in the village. Inside, there's a rare brass memorial commemorating Sir Thomas Brooke and Lady Brooke, who was an MP for Somerset 13 times between 1386 and 1413. After checking out the church, I had a look at the village store and chapel before rejoining the trail.
So one thing I failed to mention so far on this walk is the fact that I have a deadline. I actually have to go to work after this and teach a spinning and a boxercise class. So that's going to be interesting. But the reason why I haven't told you is because I genuinely thought I would make it. But it seems like I'm actually not going to meet the deadline that I've set myself. So I was going to get picked up in Lyme and then head back to get the car from Ham Hill. But I think what I'm going to have to do today, unfortunately, is stop at Wootton, Fitzpaine and come back tomorrow or ASAP and finish off the rest of the trail down to Lyme Regis. It's just another 5.5 miles from there. So we're so close to Lambert's castle now. So that's my next goal, and then we'll drop down to Wootton and I'm going to have to call it a day there. So close. Just headed through this farm. Always feel like nervous walking through farmyards. Just don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time or upset anybody. Right, there's a path up there somewhere. Not sure where, but there is. Well, this is the steepest hill so far. It's good heart-raising stuff. Oh, at a lovely point in the walk as well. Gotta love it. Look at this forest. Native forest just coming into bloom as we move into spring. Just incredible. Isn't our world just incredible?
I had realised I wouldn't quite make it to Wootton Fitzpaine for my deadline, so instead chose to end the day on Lambert's Castle Iron Age hill fort, sitting at 256 metres above sea level. It was there I'd arranged to meet my dad.
Here he is. Made it. Boom. Job done. Okay, so we're back again. That was a Monday when I was last walking. It is now a really beautiful Wednesday morning. We've had a nice heavy frost. The sun's just coming up and it is lovely out. So we got our final push down to Lyme Regis today. I reckon it's only about sort of 6 miles maybe. We're very close to Wootton Fitzpaine now, so we'll drop down off of Lambert's Castle, which is where we're starting again today. 256 metres above sea level, an old Iron Age hill fort, nowadays very popular dog walking site. And then we'll go over Cooney's Castle, or Coney's Castle, depending on how you say it. Again, another hill fort, drop down to Wootton, and then our final stretch along the trail to Lyme Regis and the coast. So excited to finish this walk with you today, just to explore the final few sites and places of interest. Let's see how we get on. And just there we've got our first views over the coast. It's sunny over there. Seems like the clouds coming in a bit here. Let's keep moving. So here we go, another talking point just come through the gate, and I've got to mention this. So obviously this is the Liberty Trail sign, but next to it we have the Wessex Ridgeway. So it's another long distance route, 136 miles, starts up in Wiltshire and also ends down in Lyme Regis. We actually started following that just the other day, climbing up to Lambert. We'll be sticking with it for a little bit today, so it's kind of cool to see the sign. I like it with the dragon. Definitely worth noting that again we're on a nice quiet lane. I really want to compliment this trail. Like, yes, there is a fair stretch of sort of road walking, but they are very quiet lanes. It would be very difficult to plan a route through this part of the country and not touch a little lane. So I think the route does well just to pick the safest and quietest and travel through some of the beautiful little settlements that sit along them. You might be able to make that out. Just over there, that's Pilsden Pen, another Iron Age hill fort, overlooking this fantastic morning landscape.
Bar the telegraph poles, the views would have been similar for those headed to Lyme Regis to join Monmouth's cause all those years ago. A little further on, and I pass through Cluny's castle, possibly built by local farming communities to give some protection at a time of political unrest.
Look at these fantastic views down over the coast. Really spectacular, so clear. Just loving it. Here we go, so this is where we leave the road, Liberty Trail and the Wessex Ridgeway, heading down through this very gate. There's the edges of Wootton, Fitzpaine, just nestled in the valley. Now the name Wootton Fitzpaine is actually derived from two separate references. So the first is Wootton, which in Old English would have meant farm by a wood, and then Fitzpaine comes from the family name of the family who lived in the massive manor house in this area. So put that together and you get Wootton Fitzpaine. It's an interesting place, kind of sprawled around two main centres, but the houses are absolutely lovely, and it's here where we're only 4 miles away from Lyme Regis.
It was a lovely walk for the outskirts of the village, past a mixture of houses, both old and new, 20 of which have been listed by English Heritage for their historic and architectural interest.
Got a duck under this one, I reckon. Stealth mode.
I followed the path through green fields and blissful woodlands, over bubbling streams and past banks of colourful wildflowers. It was such a beautiful day to be out exploring an often overlooked part of the countryside.
Loving this little stream. I've just done a massive loop. I thought I had to go that way, but I didn't. And then I thought it was that way, but it wasn't. And now I think it's that way. Struggling to find the path. These farmlands are a bit overgrown. Let's have a look. Aha, up here. Ah, nice. Little pond down there. Catching the light quite nicely. Oh, nuts. I've gone off trail again. I'm not enjoying this stretch through these farms. The signing's just garbage. Oh, I just climbed this hill for no reason. Never mind. This looks hopeful. Liberty Trail. Oh, come on, help. Help. Okay, we're good. So we're just coming up to the A35, kind of the main road in this area, goes to all the main coastal villages. Got to cross over that, and we're making very sure progress to Lyme Regis now. Absolutely loving this, getting a big build of anticipation.
It proved to be quite difficult crossing the road, but once on the other side, I picked up the trail that headed into Hole Common, a wonderful woodland, alive with birdsong and filled with trees, both native and non-native alike.
Lyme Regis, 1 mile, and there it is, just over there. Final mile to go, folks, on the Liberty Trail.
The path dropped down off Dragon Hill to pick up the River Lyme, around which Lyme Regis developed, which, at the time of the rebellion, was an important trading port, with ships from Barbados frequently in dock. The river once would have had flour mills all the way along its length, though nowadays most have disappeared. In Lyme Regis, however, the medieval mill was restored in 2001 and is now a volunteer-run, non-for-profit mill producing flour almost every day of the year. If you're in the area, it's well worth a visit.
So this is it, we've arrived at Lyme Regis. The sun is out and it's all rather glorious. I'm just making my way over towards the Cobb and you'll find out why in a minute. But just whilst I'm headed this way, check out that view behind. So those cliffs up there, the highest point, that's Golden Cap, highest point on the south coastal path. Pretty spectacular up there, but that's a walk for another day.
On my way to the Cobb, I passed by the Jubilee Pavilion, on the side of which is a brilliant map detailing about the Jurassic Coast UNESCO World Heritage Site, in which sits Lyme Regis. The area is famous for its fossil record, spanning 185 million years. The Cobb itself acts as a breakwater to protect the town from storms, and created an artificial harbour that enabled the town to develop as a port in the 13th century. For me, the town was a lively, bustling place with plenty of shops to explore and beaches to relax on. But for the men who journeyed here from the surrounding villages, the atmosphere would have been tense and dark. Little did they know what they were walking into.
On the 11th of June 1685, the Duke of Monmouth and his men sailed up to this beach. They disembarked, they knelt and they kissed the ground, proclaiming to fear nothing but God. The Monmouth Rebellion had officially begun, but it was only 3 months later that 12 of Monmouth's men were strung up here in chains towards the end of their campaign. And yes, whilst they may have failed, evidence of their fight remains all in this surrounding area, including Lyme Regis itself, with this very beach being named Monmouth Beach. And it is here that my journey along the Liberty Trail has come to an end. We've journeyed 28 miles from the heartland of Somerset all the way through Dorset to land up here on the southwest coast. Couldn't have picked a better day for it, really. But actually, my time on the trail has allowed me to reflect on the men who left behind their friends and family and walked into uncertainty in order to fight alongside Monmouth. They didn't know what they were facing, and their weapons were the tools of their trade. They were farming forks and blacksmith's knives. These men weren't soldiers, but they were passionate. And I've been reminded during my time walking to continue to pursue the things that set my own soul on fire, to remain passionate and to set them at the forefront of my mind, to keep me getting out of bed every single day, day after day, just as these men did as they walked into those unknown times. So those are my parting messages. I just want to encourage you to reflect on the things that you're inspired by, the things that you're passionate about, and set them right in front of you. Keep on pressing on for those things and you're guaranteed to make it there. No matter how long it takes, just keep going. So guys, I'm gonna go get a coffee and just enjoy this beautiful landscape here on the southwest coast. Truly wonderful day, and I feel so pleased to be able to complete the Liberty Trail and share it with you. So thank you for watching, and until next time, enjoy your adventures and stay wild.
Before heading home, I spent some time exploring the town and found evidence of the rebellion around every corner. One pub even had beautiful mosaics detailing the event's timeline. My eyes have been opened to the history that lives all around us and is there for anyone to see, if you dare to take a closer look.